Greetings, my name is Dan and I'm a very keen home grower of peaches and nectarines, and today I'm going to be pruning this Dixie red tree here, and I've also got another peach tree and a nectarine tree I'm going to be pruning today, and I'll show you them a little later on in the video. So it's currently the 24th of February 2022. I've owned this tree since May 2015, so nearly 7 years now. It does very well. So peaches and nectarines are like a well-draining sandy soil, which is exactly what I've got here, and that could contribute a lot to how well this does indeed produce. So with regards to pruning, I'm going to be using these tools here, or at least one of them anyway. So secateurs, and these are Wilkinson's sword ones, very good. I've also used Felco's in the past, they're very good as well. Here I've got a nice pair of loppers, pruners, etc, etc. And if you've got a bigger tree, probably won't use these on this tree here. This is a pruning saw, and this is a silky Gomtaro, and very good saw. They're about £50. Of course, you don't have to buy one that's as expensive as this, or could be classed as expensive, but if you do get one of these, you won't regret it. But of course, a cheaper one would do. So what I want to do is to remove diseased, dead and crossing branches. I'm going to thin this tree out a little bit. I want to allow plenty of sunlight to get through into the tree to ripen the fruit. And of course, I want to just keep it nice and tidy to continue the lovely cropping that this tree does indeed do. So some of you may be thinking, why are you growing a peach tree in a polytunnel? So the reason why I grow it in here is to avoid peach leaf curl, which is a horrible fungal disease, and you really don't want it on your peaches or your nectarines. And the way that I avoid it is I protect it from winter rainfall. In fact, you can see I protect it from rainfall all year round. So winter rainfall, and when the temperature drops below about 16 degrees C, which is about 61 degrees Fahrenheit, that's when you can get problems with peach leaf curl. Now, some people will keep their tree outside up against a south-facing wall or fence, for example, and they will cover it during the winter months in order to protect it from winter rainfall. But to me, that's something I don't want to get into. I just like to grow it in here, nice and simple, and then that way it doesn't get wet and I don't get peach leaf curl. And peach leaf curl, you really want to avoid it if you can. So peaches tend to blossom early in the year when plenty of frosts are about and potentially even snowfall, and that's another good thing about growing it under cover, is it can protect the buds, protect the flowers if they're out. Now peach trees, nectarine trees in general are self-fertile, so you don't need another pollinating tree, so that's also another reason why they do well in a polytunnel or a greenhouse. Of course, if the tree is small, you would have to consider watering it. I don't water this tree here because the roots will have grown significantly enough to stretch out in order to find their own water. So I'm going to start off by removing grey branches, dead branches, and that's a really good place to start because they're very obvious to the eye. So if I put the camera there, you could see here that is a dead branch. So you want to get plenty of them off because you can see no life in that at all. You can just check to see if it's green inside. You can see that one's not. So that's going to be removed. And also here, I have another one here, going to be removing the grey branches. They're no good to the tree anymore. Won't help with production because of course they're dead, and you don't want to encourage disease in your tree. This dead branch here, this grey one, that's coming off. Now you can see there's a leaf on there, and when the tree defoliates in the autumn or the fall, you don't want to be leaving leaves on there. But I have, and that's not the right thing to do, but I need to tell you best practice. So we'll cut that off there like that. So we've removed that dead branch now. And some more dead branches here. Going to take them right off like that. In fact, I'm going to take that whole one off there because that's dead up to there. Peach and nectarine trees fruit from growth from the previous year or the previous growing season's growth. So you can see there, look, it can be identified by lovely pinky green to the shoots, and you can see also it's got a lovely bit of a little bud there which is soon to burst into some lovely blossom. So you want to be leaving plenty of those shoots on. The weight of last year's crop, it weighed down this branch here, and you can also see there's a little bit of dieback there as well. This won't crop productively this year, so I'm going to remove that, and that'll free up a little bit of space there. Move this down branch here. There really was a massive amount of peaches on this bit of the tree last year, and this isn't looking too healthy either. So I'm going to take that off there. I'm going to go right back to that branch there, and this is helping to encourage airflow. I want a beautiful airflow, or airflow rather, through the tree, because it's less likely to get a fungal disease with a good airflow. And of course, it's being grown in a polytunnel, so the airflow's not that good anyway, and the tree really will benefit from this. So I've reduced this tree enough now in order to get into it. So I'm currently reducing the height because of course I can't allow the tree to grow up into the top of the polytunnel and break through the top. So removing it, giving it a good 10 centimetres, 6 inches clearance, because it will grow vigorously when the temperature warms up. And just gently work, take your time, don't rush. And when you get your lovely crop of peach or nectarines, you'll be really glad you spent the time on the tree, because they really are beautiful when they come. You want to be removing the shoots that are coming from the rootstock. So the rootstock is here and below. This is the graft or the bud here of what would have been called a bud or a scion when the tree was produced, if you will, into what its eventual form would be, propagated. And I'm just removing the shoots from the rootstock, such as this. Don't leave them on, no good at all. They won't be the peach or the nectarine you're growing. They'll take energy out the tree, etc. So take them away, and you want to keep doing this throughout the year as they grow. And what they do is actually grow quite quick, so the more you get, the more they can crowd the tree, etc. And you just really don't want that. So take them off as they grow. A nice clear rootstock there. Here we are, so this is finished. You can see there's still a few little branches touching the top, but they're not vigorous enough to burst through, so I'm going to leave those. Now, don't be shy when pruning. Remember, the more foliage you've got, etc., the less light that can potentially get through, particularly to your peaches and nectarines on the lower branches. So you may end up with less sweeter fruit if the sun can't get them. But also at the same time, don't be too gung-ho, all right? So remember, when you're cutting off these lovely little pink buds ready to burst, you're cutting off peaches or nectarines. So a little bit of discretion, do a bit of work, step back, take your time. I've probably removed, I would reckon, about 30 to 40% of the branches that were here. So maybe something like that, and you could consider something like that. But use your own discretion, take your time, and I'm sure you'll do this just fine. This is the amount I've cut off here. This is peach variety Peregrine, developed in the year 1906 in the UK. Tree's doing very well. It'll be about 2 years this year that I've owned it, and I'm going to prune it the same way as the Dixied Red, so removing diseased, crossing or dead branches, and just make sure that it doesn't grow through the top or the sides of this polytunnel. This is Nectarine, variety Lord Napier, developed in the UK the year 1860. So very lovely tree indeed. Once again, owned this about 2 years, this tree, and I'm going to be pruning this the same way as the peach trees. Over the colder period of the year, it's nice to mulch your fruit trees with something such as well-rotted horse manure. The case here, I made some mulch out of some cardboard, some leaves, and also some grass clippings, mulching these to let the nutrients go into the ground over the winter in order to help the fruiting. And I've also, you can see that I've actually got some strawberry plants and some oriental greens growing in the base here. That's generally not recommended really, because you want to allow the nutrients to go into the tree. But I like to exercise in formal gardening. But yes, so should do well here along with my sanguinelli blood orange tree. We shall now await the blossom for all three trees. 17th of March, and a nice bit of bud burst has occurred. More to come as well. Some of the flowers also aren't fully out yet. And yeah, looks nice. Hopefully a good crop is to come. A lovely bit of bud burst here too on the nectarine there, and the peach here, absolutely gorgeous. 10th of April, and the flowers are starting to go over now. I could see the teeny little peach fruitlets here, so hopefully a good crop to come. The same over here, you can see some nice little peach fruitlets here, and over here on the nectarine. Now here, nectarines, or at least this one anyway, flowers later than the peaches here. So these flowers are still a little bit more out than the peaches. Hello, here we are on the 28th of May and we've had a really lovely fruit set. So here we are with the Dixie Red tree. The leaves are absolutely beautiful because it's been grown under cover. There's no evidence of peach leaf curl, which is absolutely grand because we really do not want that. And got some lovely peaches here. So I'll give you some close-ups of some of the peaches on it. So here we go, look at that look. So really nice peach there, and here really are plenty of them. So there you go, you could just see the sheer volume of beautiful peaches. As I put my camera up into the canopy of the tree, you could just sort of see them here, there, and absolutely everywhere really. Even though I gave this tree quite a pruning, still got plenty of peaches on the tree. So I hope you could see this on the camera. Now you can see I've got 3 peaches there, quite close proximity. If you want to get a bigger peaches, etc., what you could do, you could consider removing 1 or even 2 of these. Of course you then end up with less peaches, but you can end up with bigger ones. So if you're going to remove them, you could gently snip them with secateurs. Make sure you don't damage the bit where it's attached, any of the branches, or you could gently work them off with your hands like this, but you really don't want to, don't cause any damage. I'd suggest, secateurs in there like that. You could even use a small pair of scissors, once again, to be extra careful. I don't actually remove any peaches. I don't do any thinning of my peaches or nectarines. I just let the tree do what it wants to do. It will drop some on its own anyway, but if you'd like to end up with some bigger peaches but less of them, you could consider doing that. So here we are with the Nectarine Lord Napier and Peach Peregrine, and once again they've both set a lovely crop. So plenty of peaches here, plenty of nectarines here. So to my knowledge anyway, the majority of peach and nectarine trees are actually self-fertile. I mean, you only actually need 1 tree in order to produce fruit, so that's a very good thing if you've only got room for 1 tree, or you only want 1 tree. So anyway, let's have a look at the lovely fruit set on both of these lovely trees. So there we go, you can see just the sheer volume of lovely nectarines that this tree has set. And once again you can see how many are on here as well. I mean, look at that look. The whole branch is loaded with them. Now, here's one thing for you to watch out for: scale insects. In my experience of growing peaches, and I imagine this applies to nectarines as well, scale insects really like them. My lovely Dixie Red tree that you saw a moment ago in the other polytunnel a few years ago, that had a real severe infestation of scale insects. You really don't want them. And this here I noticed the other day, this peach tree here has got an infestation of scale insects. So I'll let you have a look at that. So if you look there, look, you can see these horrible little scale insects here. Now you can scrape them off with a knife, that works, or you can crush them up like this, but they really are a pain and they multiply very quickly. I remember one year I literally just left the tree and I hoped for the best. Never a particularly great policy to employ in gardening, and I ended up with, probably several hundred of them all over the tree. So you can just crush them off like that, crush them up. Not a nice thing to do, but needs must. And I'm not really into spraying my trees, to be honest, so I'm removing them. If you're not really into using your hands, of course you could scrape them off with a knife, something like that. You could crush them with a spoon or whatever. Either way, you don't want them, so get rid of them. So peach and nectarine trees, they like a nice bit of ventilation. So this lovely beautiful Dixie Red tree here being grown within the polytunnel, I'll leave the door open. I remember one year, for some strange reason, I thought it'd be a good idea to leave the door closed, and of course it got very hot. Ended up with some sort of fungal disease on the leaves. It wasn't peach leaf curl, but the leaves, they sort of had little red marks on them, and then they proceeded to fall out, and then the leaves had little holes in them. Haven't got that on this year because I've been leaving the door open for plenty of ventilation. Now I have noticed on the peach peregrine in the other polytunnel there are some little holes in the leaves indicative of that, and that will be because I have left the door open at certain times in the polytunnel. Probably shouldn't have on some days when it's been quite warm. So I'll show you that so you can identify it, and hopefully you can grow your peach or nectarine tree in an area where there's good ventilation so you can avoid that. So it's not too much of a big deal here, but you can see what I'm talking about there, look. And you can just about see a little bit of one of the sort of spots or blisters, if you will, and it then falls out. It leaves holes in the leaves. So as I stated, some days I left the door of the polytunnel closed, this door here, and of course it does get very warm in here. So anyway, there we go. We shall now await our lovely, beautiful, juicy, ripe peaches. So 27th of June, and got quite a lovely crop here. I've had two, and they're not quite there yet, but a little bit longer and they'll be absolutely lovely. So I've got plenty under here, plenty up here. So peaches, they tend to do a lot less swelling very close to when they're actually ready to pick. So plenty to come, and these will get a lot bigger. So I'm just gently touching them. You want them slightly soft. If you really want them that lovely peachy sweetness, let them get quite soft and then pick them. And you have to be very careful when picking peaches. I quite often like to use scissors so you don't damage the fruit buds. So we'll discuss a little bit about thinning. So if you look at this bunch here, lovely bunch of peaches, you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. So if I wanted to, what I could do is maybe remove 3 of these and just leave these 2 here, or maybe even 1 if I want to, like this biggest one here, if I wanted to allow the peaches to get to their full size potential. So if you take this one here, for example, all I would do is you've got to be careful, because what you quite often get is they're sort of joined. So you just gently prise it off like that, twist it, and then when you're like that, if you want, you can actually chop it there, look. So there you go, that's removed it. And with regards to picking, if I wanted to pick a peach, I'll find a good example and show you. So this peach here, look, it's not quite ready, but I don't mind my peaches a little bit sort of on the sharpish side, so I'm going to pick it. So just want to be really careful, and you can see where it's joined there. What you can do is just gently get your scissors in, don't damage the fruit, and just chop. There you go. So that way you're not damaging the shoot, not damaging the fruit buds, and you're not damaging the peach. So this is the third peach of the year. Really lovely. Peachy taste, a little bit of sharpness there. A bit of that will be because it's still a relatively young peach. Could have done with maybe another 3 or 4 more days on the tree, maybe a little bit longer. But you know, you can pick them to suit your palate, and of course if you don't start picking them early, you can get them all at once, and unless you've got people to give them away to or whatever, you can end up wasting peaches. So yeah, plenty more to come, and see you in the next instalment. So 3rd of July, and this tree here absolutely loaded with fruit still, and the fruit is starting to mature very, very quickly now. So you want to be, don't want to hang around when picking peaches when they're ready, because they don't keep too well. So when you find them, for example, like I'm just gently, don't squeeze them too hard because you can actually damage them. But when you find, like this one here, look, so when you find one like this which is ready, it's really soft or getting very soft to the touch, and what you can do when they're sort of ready to pick, they twist off much easier. So there we go, beautiful, lovely peach there. Delicious. Lovely. We can conclude now this, you know, you seeing this tree here, because you can see what's happened, lovely crop, and we should now wait for the other peach tree and the nectarine to be ready for harvest. Hello, 26th of July, and came out here earlier on and noticed that some of the peaches and nectarines are ready, so that's absolutely wonderful. So picked some here, looking really beautiful indeed. So they're both on the small side, the nectarines and the peaches. Some of that will be because I didn't thin them out, and I also didn't really water them enough. I should have been giving them about 5 or 6 litres a day, about 1.5 gallons, something like that. But I didn't do it, and they're on the small side. It doesn't matter. They taste absolutely delicious, so let's have some close-ups. So as I approach the peach here variety Peregrine, look at that lovely crop there. That is absolutely beautiful. Massive fruit set there, as you can see. And this one here, let's pick one. So that there is ready. Now that really is on the soft side. So we'll have a little taste test, and we'll see just how lovely these taste. Right, so, goodness gracious me, that is absolutely beautiful. So this is a white flesh variety, Peregrine, and they're sweet but with like a slight tanginess. Really gorgeous taste, absolutely beautiful. So let's finish this one off. So, Nectarine Lord Napier, you could see absolutely beautiful crop there as well. Look at the colours of these. I mean, don't they just look absolutely lovely? Look at that under there, look. So let's find one that's ready. We've got to just gently press them. You don't want to press them too firm, because if you do that, you can actually bruise them. There we are, this one here. Let's pick this one. Be very careful. I might have to put the, oh, there we are. It's gently coming. Don't damage the tree or the fruit. There we are. So this here is peach variety Peregrine. You can see there, look, shouldn't have really pulled that bit off when I harvested it. Would have been better to have used 2 hands, but there we are. So let's try this. Okay. Oh yeah, really beautiful. Once again, white flesh variety, has that lovely sweet but yet with a little bit of tanginess there. Just really, really tasty. So what's going to happen is these are going to slowly, well, maybe not as slow as one may think, they'll ripen. So really keep your eye on them very quickly for them to go over, become overripe and spoil. You don't want that to happen. And then later in the year, the leaves will fall off because they are a deciduous tree. So ideally, you don't want to be leaving peach and nectarine leaves laying about because of peach leaf curls. So dispose of them accordingly. Okay, so a good sort of thing would be to not make leaf mould out of them and not put them in the compost bin. That could be some good general advice. So dispose of your leaves accordingly. And what you want to do when the autumn comes, so you could say when the tree has defoliated, what you could do is put some well-rotted horse manure around the base of your peach or nectarine tree. What you don't want to do is have it touching the tree, but just put it round, and then that way the nutrients can go into the soil, growing medium, etc. over the colder months, and then when the tree grows with plenty of nutrients, hopefully it's had a nice feed. You could also consider, you know, maybe something like some wood ash around the bottoms, you know, for the potassium, for some extra fruiting, hopefully, or at least some nutrients for the following year. So that's absolutely wonderful too. I think you get the idea. As I stated earlier on, I should have watered them a lot more. So when the fruit started to swell, start getting some water on them, ideally daily. My Dixie Red tree, I don't water that because it's got a much better established root structure than these, because they are younger trees. But had I watered them and or had I thinned them, I could have ended up with some bigger fruit. But honestly speaking, I'm perfectly happy with these. I quite like the idea of lots of little fruits actually, so very happy with these. So there we are. I hope you enjoyed that video, and yeah. Any comments, questions, whatever, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. And the growing of peaches and nectarine trees, I really enjoy fruits, etc. So just post your questions down below, and like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And I hope your peach and nectarine tree growing has gone very well or will go very well. Thanks for your time.